Welcome to Real Estate Radio Live, an informative and engaging podcast discussing everything you need to know about the world of real estate. Your host, Joe Clara, provides you with insight and guidance on how to buy, sell, finance, and invest in real estate. He also offers real estate tax management strategies, new construction advice, home improvement tips, and much, much more. And now, to guide you around the world of real estate, here's your host and Real Estate Radio Live team leader, Joe Clara.
Welcome in, Joe Clara with Real Estate Radio Live, the podcast series. As we continue and move along through the week, I'm sitting alongside Mike D'Ambrosio, as we always do. On Tuesdays, usually, if we're together hitting it hard. Mike, good to have you right alongside, as usual.
Good to be on.
We will continue to focus on really the same stuff we've done for a while, and in some aspects, I'm a big believer of consistency over and over and over again wins out. And what I mean by that is for over 7 years now, we have provided what I think is very good information education to you, the consumer, to help you make wise decisions in and around your real estate. We want to keep it that simple, and we also want to make sure that we're a resource for you. I want to, on an ongoing basis, Mike, I think we need to also remind our listeners, the resources we have here. On the real estate side, obviously you buying and selling, we could line people with CPAs, tax advice, legal advice.
Absolutely.
Financial planning has a lot to do with your investments and strategies and things like that. So we know the value of a network of people you trust. Mike and I do. So we certainly would love to have you trust us and allow us to help you if you need any help in any of those areas.
Yeah, no, couldn't have said it any better. I think it's a part of our job, really.
Right, I would agree.
As a professional, mortgage professional, real estate professional, to align ourselves with other professionals in different lines of work that pertain to your money and your investing. So I think it's super important that you understand that as a consumer. So absolutely.
I would agree. All right, we're going to get to topic in just a minute. Just a reminder before we get started, as always, if you need any help on the real estate side, maybe you need assistance to guide you through getting that house on the market or trying to find a house, which is not really easy.
After today, you're probably not going to call about finding a house.
Right. If you're, if you're under 40, you might want to call, or 35. What is the millennial age group?
It's,
I forget.
Under 35.
35? Okay.
I think it's early 20s to 35.
Got it. All right.
Yeah.
So not if you're an old guy like me, then maybe you might want to double check and think about that. Contact Mike with any real estate needs, buy, sell, or maybe you just need to talk to someone about the timing. There's this market really is to me, it's about timing. Is now the right time? The other conversation, we've had shows like this before. You might be sitting right now thinking, I'm going to wait a year or so to sell my home, but what if you sat down with someone like Mike and he talked you through what's going on with the market now, statistics, data, interest rates, and they decided, well, gee, I never thought about these things, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that the value of some consultations early before people even decide to sell?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's a huge value, and it's also a value. A lot of realtors don't focus on the stats and the data and stuff. They just kind of fly by the seat of their pants, and I think it's really important to look at that. I look at it constantly as trying to figure out what's going on numbers-wise and looking at charts and graphs and, just so we can make more informed decisions. I think that's huge. So anyways, I went off on a tangent there, but basically the answer to your question is yes, it's very important to look at those numbers because I like to look at historical stuff too, and so I give people a little bit of perspective where we're at now as compared to like years past. It's interesting. Yeah,
and I think the other part of it too is to have conversations about options and maybe enlighten clients to stuff they didn't know. For instance, what if you're sitting there with a home, you're not sure if you want to sell it, and now they think, well, gee, maybe I want to rent it someday, or so maybe I'll take some cash out and buy a vacation home or second home. I mean, I don't know. I'm just giving examples. My point is, when you have these kind of consultations with someone like yourself or someone that really cares about the short and the long-term approach that people take, instead of, hey, let's get your house on the market. That might be the right decision after you look at everything.
After you look at everything, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
So we want to be focused on that. If you need any help on the financing side, maybe looking at a purchase, refinance. I'm a big fan of consolidating to first and seconds now. The reason for that is because the Fed is going to continue, it looks like, to raise the prime, which will affect your home equity lines. It will affect your home equity lines for sure. So if you have a second, well, I think they're going to raise again. If not, the thought is maybe 2 more times, September and then December.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So again, now I hate to be, play the other side of the fence, but now there's recently, the last couple of weeks, there's some statistics and data that might suggest that rates, mortgage 30-year mortgage rates or rates could, drop anywhere from 3/8 to a half.
Drop
lower. Wow. And the reason why is some of the economic unrest and some of the things that are going on, some of the factors that are playing into the economy, trying to, fight off inflation again. If a little bit of that rears its head. Anyway, this is all speculation, but it's all stuff that's in the news. And now what's interesting, I haven't heard that, and we're hearing a lot of that, like in the last 2 weeks.
Yeah,
there's a possibility. And they're saying they're saying like in the next 30 to 60 days.
Interesting. Okay.
Which could create refinance opportunity, but more importantly, it could put a lot of these buyers in a situation where they could afford more.
Yeah, right.
Right,
yeah,
if we're looking at the purchase side.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't realize how much an eighth or a quarter, can affect your purchasing power. Yeah. It's huge.
Yeah, especially when you're talking about home prices like this size, which you're going to get to. So the topic today, we always love to talk real estate, and we'll bounce around a little bit, but we hope that you see that as value no matter what. Where millennials are buying and the most and fewest, really the fewest homes, and some of that may or may not surprise you. So Mike and I are going to talk a little bit about that and some of the buying habits, locations, and just, really have a conversation again around hopefully these people out there that are thinking about buying, even if it's a starter home. Mike, we've talked about this before. One of my, and I think you feel the same way, is just get in.
Yeah.
Don't
absolutely.
You think?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not going to be your dream home
unless
you're someone that you're born and someone just handed you all the money in the world.
Yeah.
Typically, you're going to have to buy a starter, what I call a starter home, and whether that's a, 1-bedroom, 1-bath condo or a house in an area that you may not be in love with, but get in.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. If you are a millennial out there listening to this podcast today, you might want to curl up in a ball, get some tissues. No, seriously, it's depressing, especially if you live in the Bay Area. It's really depressing, and I mean, I'm looking at the numbers right now. Less than 900 homes in the entire county of Santa Clara for sale, active properties, and combine that with, and then condos and townhouses, you only got 239 total. There's more than 239 millennials looking to buy real estate in the Santa Clara County. I can guarantee that. So for a lot of people out there listening that are listening across we have listeners all over the world. But Santa Clara County really is the heart of Silicon Valley. It's going to become even more of the heartbeat of Silicon Valley with Google coming into downtown. There's a lot of big news about all that, and I really think that this is going to be the hub. It already is, but so when I look at stats, I really focus on Santa Clara County. It's a large geographic area, and so when you're talking under 1,100 total properties, single-family condos, townhouses, or around that 11 to 1,200, I mean, where we're sitting, Joe, in this studio in Los Gatos, there's more than 1,000 realtors alone in the city that we're sitting in, right?
All right. 1,000?
So because there's all major companies in Los Gatos.
That's right.
So you have
a good point. Yeah, right.
1,000 realtors alone just in this one city of, I don't know how many cities are in Santa Clara County. I think 15 or 17 or something. So it's just like it gives you some perspective on how little everyone's chasing the same properties. So it's interesting, and I think that we'll get in more to the why it's hard for millennials to buy here. Obviously, the pricing, but it's just tough.
Well, most people would agree when they look at these numbers. And I know you and I don't do on a regular basis. So one of the things maybe we should talk about is, I'm a big fan of solutions. So it's easy to get down on things, and oh my God, it's so expensive to live here, and it's depressing, and I'll never own a home, and so we could do all kinds of stuff to create drama, but seriously. So maybe we could talk a little bit about options. So I don't know, let's talk a little bit about, so someone's, as you had mentioned, a millennial, maybe they're making a halfway decent amount of money. They're frustrated because not only you have low inventory, but my gosh, I mean, you're competing with people with a lot more money, a lot more down payment. What are some of the things that other than really getting people well educated in the process, that's first and foremost, getting them pre-approved, ready to pull the trigger. What are some of the things that maybe alternatives or other things that a person could do as a millennial when you're living in a place like this?
Yeah, well, I would say the first thing is work with professionals.
Yeah, good point.
And we say that on the show a lot, and I realize that, but it's super important because, especially like it's so attractive to millennials now to work with these online companies or, the lending trees of the world, or what's the other one? I don't even know the name because I shy so far away from them.
Cash Call, Quicken Loans.
All that crap.
Right.
It's crap, honestly.
Yeah.
And it's not going to get you anywhere if you're trying to be competitive in a market, because all the agents know that if you got a pre-approval letter from a company like that, you're what we like to call SOL, and I think you can figure that out. S out of luck. And because they know that you're not going to be able to perform in your timelines and everything. So that's just one example of
That's a good point. Really,
working with professionals, working with professional lender like Joe, and that people that know the process, that are well known in the real estate community, that can physically reach out to the listing agent, call them on your behalf, kiss their butt a little bit, talk about how great you are. I mean, there's a whole process to making an offer. So I would say the first thing is definitely is working with professionals both on the lending side and on the real estate side.
What would you tell, Mike, a client if they're saying, because we had this conversation too, how do they know, they're working with the right realtor, and then we could talk working with the right lender too, especially in a market like this where, man, oh man, you better be on your game.
Yeah.
This is not, as a realtor, and maybe I'm hurting people's feelings or not, but this is not a market for the faint or someone that does it part-time.
It's not.
Right now, and actually probably not anywhere in the near future. This is not a place where there's, 5,600 homes for sale and all this new building going on, and you're cherry picking, and this is totally different. But yet, Mike, we've talked about around 10% of realtors like yourself really focus on this as a business.
Yeah.
So I think your point is really well taken. The first thing you could do if you're looking for a home or thinking about it or even putting your house on the market, my gosh, think about that. It's interesting to think about that dynamic. And by the way, it's not probably too far. Those stats probably not too distant from our industry as well.
Oh, yeah.
I would say the same thing. So I guess my point is, and with such a financial decision to make, man, I mean, how do you know you're working with the right people?
I would say interview them. Interview them. I mean, you could even Google questions to ask a realtor, but interview or get a referral, interview a realtor. They should go over. There's things that I go over in my buyer presentation. I call it, they learn about me, learn about my company. They learn about the sales process, which is a really important part. Right. Then we talk about what their wants and needs are. Yep. We talk about the market. I mean, it's a whole thing, So interview people, talk to them. Are they knowledgeable? How many buyers are they working with at once? How many buyers have they worked with in the past year and whatnot? So there's all sorts of things you can do.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back. Mike and I are talking about where the millennials, not only where they're buying the most and fewest homes, like, desirable, cost-effective, but we're also going to talk more importantly about how do we better prepare the millennials to make this move. I mean, don't go to the bridge, don't look over. There's help there on the way. We're going to help you do that. All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll come back. We'll continue that conversation in just a minute.
For more information on today's program, visit RERadiolive.com. That's RERadiolive.com.
Hi, this is Joe Clara, host of Real Estate Radio Live and Bay Area Mortgage Planner. In addition to being your home financing expert, please remember you could always contact me for other trusted advisors such as realtors, financial planners, and CPAs. Please feel free to contact me at 408-838-9060. That's 408-838-9060, or email joe@reradiolive.com, or visit my website at reradiolive.com for more details.
Welcome back to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's topic or guests, just visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com. Again, your host for today's edition of Real Estate Radio Live, Joe Cachera.
Welcome back in, Joe Cachera with Real Estate Radio Live, the podcast series. Sitting alongside Mike D'Ambrosio, we are talking about a couple different things, really kind of focused on the millennials again. You may be getting tired of hearing all about, but the reason why we talk a lot about the millennials is there's a real, that is a real next segment, if you will. The baby boomers, we got kind of sick of hearing about them for years now, so they're the kind of the changing of the guards, huh?
That's right.
And the bottom line is, the reason why is that these are this is the upcoming generation that will be spending the most money. Also, the other thing you have to keep in mind is there's a huge wealth transfer going to be taking place in the next couple of decades. A lot of the older generation, the baby boomers and above, by virtue of real estate, by virtue of investment, there's a lot of money that will be being passed down, which in some cases will help people buy homes, which you're seeing quite a bit. But we're focused on really talking a little bit about, how frustrating and kind of depressing it is to look at the cost of homes here, and how do you do it?
Yeah.
Let's just chat a little bit about, not specifically, but kind of generically.
Yeah.
Because everybody's situation is different. And, before we talk about these examples, I always like to remind people, it depends on your credit. It depends on where the money's coming from, all these things. But Mike and I are going to talk about some examples. But, if you're buying $1 million home, right, and you're lucky enough to have 20%.
Yeah, well, even in this article we're looking at, you're lucky. Even in this article that's saying that the average millennial in San Jose would have to sock away 15% of his or her annual income for 27.9 years in order to afford a 20% down payment on a home, when the average value of a millennial-owned home is almost $740,000, which is low. So it's even a longer amount of time. So again, that's a depressing quote I just said there. But so getting back to if you're lucky to have the 20% or get a hold of it, if you win the lotto or your parents help you out, or there's other loan programs out there which we can get into, or we've talked about, I'm sure, before on the show. But yeah, that's tough. So you got 20%.
Yep.
So you got 20% down. Great, you've gotten that 20%. Now we're talking about $800,000 loan, which is roughly $4,500
roughly, depending on, let's just take an average kind of interest rate. Yeah, so you're looking at a principal and interest payment right around $4,500 a month.
Yeah.
Plus, again, if you have $1 million home, let's just call it in the Bay Area, you're looking at a 1.25%, right, for taxes. So you're looking at another
$1,000 a month.
$1,000 a month taxes.
So that's $5,500.
$55, and then homeowners insurance, general expenses.
Right.
Let's just, for easy math, what did we say? $6,000 a month. So again, this is rough estimates, but think about this. Just put a pencil to the paper. $6,000 a month to go out and purchase a home, and that's putting 20% down, financing $800,000, buying a home at $1 million, which is, I hate to say it, but average home, right?
Yeah,
average home. So certainly in Santa Clara County. And so you're talking about $6,000. So on the lending side, Mike, the lenders, typically they'll go 40 to 43% kind of DTI, which is a debt to income ratio, right?
Yeah.
So let's just call it, for easy math, 40%. You're talking about, if it's $6,000, you need to be making about $180,000 to $200,000 a year. Now, as an individual or as a couple, I understand.
Right. Which I think as a couple, there's probably a lot of, you got engineer couples. Sure. Mm-hmm. They probably are doing that. Yeah. So then I guess it's a matter of how are they getting that 20%? How are they paying? Do they have student loans? How long is it going to take them to get to that point? As an individual, that's a difficult task. Yeah. And there's not a lot of people making that type of money out there. So Yeah, it's hard. And again, we're using the $1 million price point. Now, obviously, there's property all around here that is under that, smaller property or condos or townhouses. But on average, that's what you're looking at, folks,
I think as solutions, again, I love talking about solutions. One of the things I thought about a while back, and, talk about it, we could do a couple of shows just on this, would be kind of fun, is, what are the other alternative ways to get money? And what I mean by that is, what if, Mike, you're creative, right? So what if you went to, you're struggling, maybe you had 10%, you needed 20% down.
Right.
And you went to your dad or your grandfather or your aunt or someone and say, hey, listen, I got a proposition for you. Can you loan me the down payment? Or can we do a side deal where you loan me the down payment? Or maybe you put them on title, or maybe they get future equity.
Yeah, why
right?
not?
I mean,
I think it's a smart idea. Why not share that with them if they're going to help you get it?
I think we should share some solutions in the next couple of shows. Maybe do some shows specifically like if you're a millennial or if you're a person struggling, what are the ways?
Yeah.
And if you go to some people seriously and you get real creative and you say, listen, I need another $100,000. This is what I'm willing to do.
Yeah.
You never know.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
yeah, you never know. I just think it's important to think creatively, especially if you got people around you that might have a little bit of cash laying around that might be interested.
It's a good place to find it around here.
That's right. So why not, Why not?
I guess the reason I would think that this would be, and we'll expand on it another time, this would be a really good opportunity to talk about, because let's face it, this area, there's a lot of money. And most people, I think, Mike, let's just say that for the most part, this is not a rule of thumb or a stereotype. I'm just saying, like, if you or me, I mean, I've been in this area my entire life. You have too. Your family's grown up around.
Yeah.
Most people that have been in this area, your parents, grandparents, most have established themselves, and if they just did halfway decent, they probably have a couple of properties, a lot of equity. Who knows?
Yeah,
maybe they have some investments.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
You go to your parents, and again, before you do anything like this, you want to talk to someone like Mike and I, because we could help you with these strategies. Remember, we've started the show talking about how important it is, Mike mentioned, to have the right people. And these are the kinds of things we could help you with. These are the types of things, if you sat down with Mike and I and you said, hey, listen, you guys, I'm not, we're going through it with one of your clients right now with these couples trying to figure out what they want to do with their home buying in Colorado. Yeah. Kind of a perfect example, right? What do I do? Like, can I do A? Can I do B? Can I do a combination of B and C?
Right.
Exactly. And it takes some time and patience to kind of figure it out. But these are I respect people that go through that exercise, because then you have all your options on the table.
Yeah, absolutely. You got to look at all the options. So with that, we're going to actually talk about the states that we're...
Yeah, let's talk about some of the states.
The show's almost over.
I'm trying to help these poor millennials.
I know. We got sidetracked, but on a good note.
Yeah. Yeah, let's talk about some of the states. Why don't you go through
Well, so basically, I mean, the least, obviously, California, Nevada. I'm surprised about Oregon, too. That's a little on the low side. Or that's Washington, I mean. And then you got Florida. I was surprised Alabama, too. I think that's Alabama right above Florida. These are color-coded maps without
it's Atlanta, by the way.
Georgia.
I think that's Georgia.
Yeah.
Not Atlanta, but
state.
Georgia.
Joe
we make a good pair.
Yeah, Joe and Mike's geography is awful. But there's some really interesting states that are really have a high percentage of millennials buying, like in Maine.
Look at that.
So it's interesting to see this whole map. And then I was surprised, the southern states like Texas and whatnot, it's not the highest percentage of people owning, but it's in the middle of the pack, which I bet you if you looked at this map 15 years ago, they probably would have been really high percentage of ownership. So even places like Texas are getting impacted, or like you look at Alaska, which is not the highest percentage of ownership either, which is surprising, because who the hell wants to live in for all the people out in Alaska? I mean, that's not an easy
Unless
climate
you're a
place.
Person,
it's not an easy climate or place to live in, with a huge job market. So I don't know. It's interesting.
The one surprising me a little bit, but maybe not understanding what's going on over there. Maybe it's because it's a joining, kind of sister state to California is Nevada.
Yeah.
Nevada has always been traditionally very cost effective. I have some people I know that live in Reno that brag all the time about what they could get. You hear all those stories all the time.
Yeah,
and then
right.
I say, but you got to live in Reno.
Yeah, right.
For that. But I think Apple's going in there, Tesla's going in there. There's a couple of different, so they're creating a bunch of jobs. So that surprised me a little bit that Nevada's a little more on the expensive side.
Yeah, I was surprised about that too. I think, well, it's also, this is the rate of people, of actual millennials owning in the States. So
that's true, yeah.
Probably not a lot of millennials that want to live over by the biggest little city in the world, over by old school Reno.
Yeah.
I just don't see a lot of millennials that attracting a lot of them. But there's a lot of parts of Nevada I don't know a lot about, to be honest, but you have Tahoe and all that. So it's interesting. It's really an interesting chart, and we can send this to you as well.
So I guess the alternative is, when you look at it, Mike, people, this is the part people making a decision, right? If they look at their current jobs, they think, okay, well, I'm going to stay in here. This is what I'm going to make. Maybe this is why some people are choosing to move and buy elsewhere.
Yeah, I think it's pretty evident why people, after listening to this show, why a lot of people are moving out of the area, especially if their jobs, especially now with technology, if their job allows them to do so, and they allows them to work virtually, like the clients you just mentioned, I could see why people are doing it, because then you start talking about quality of life. Yep. Is it really worth having that high payment and, eating top ramen every day because you got to pay for your damn mortgage? I don't know. It's interesting. But
it really is. Yeah, we got it. There's a lot more to come. Unfortunately, we're running out of time today, but boy, we could go on and on about this. But I think what I'd like to do over the next couple of weeks, maybe we focus on solutions or alternatives. And let's, whether we call it let's get creative or whatever we want to call it. Plus, it's really fun when you could sit down and solve a problem and help someone buy a home, right? Or sell. Just something that really works for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's fun.
It is, and to bring someo's dream come to life, or because a lot of people, that's what they want to do in California. So it's basically. It is a good feeling. Yeah. It's definitely a good feeling.
We want everybody to be the California dreaming. That's what we
right.
Want.
There you go.
California dreaming. Silicon Valley dreaming. All right. Unfortunately, we're out of time, but we will come back at you for sure. Remember, always go online, give us your reviews, tell us what you think at reradiolive.com. Mike, always fun.
All right. It was a good time.
Well,
I had to pull up a map here to
figure out where you are?
To figure out where the hell I was and where we are in this map. So I'm going to go, take some geography classes before our next show.
All right. I think we're in Los Gatos. So for that, up until then, until next time, take care.
See you guys.
You've been listening to Real Estate Radio Live. For more information on today's program, visit reradiolive.com. That's reradiolive.com. Subscribe to our podcast. Discover more at reradiolive.com.